Hello there, welcome to the show. Well, we've seen the manager put the team through its paces in the last few days live here on MUTV. Now it's time to hear from him for the very first time on Tour 2017, presented by Aon. Here he is, looking ahead to the first match of the Tour against LA Galaxy.
Okay, the photographers can stay in for the first question, then we'll ask them to leave. The press conference is embargoed until half an hour, so nothing to go out live. Okay, if you'd like to put your hand up.
You recently got on Lukaku. First of all, what does he bring to the team going forward for the season? What do you expect from him? And second, in the past, he's been compared to another player that you had previously. What do you think about those comparisons, and do you think he's that type of player?
I don't compare. I don't compare at all. One had his history, and this one is still in the beginning of his history. What he brings was hopefully goals. He's the kind of player that everybody knows that he's a striker. So we are not speaking about a multifunctional player or a player that we can adapt or we can create doubts about positions on the pitch. He's a striker. So normally strikers, they score goals. And the reason why he is so important and he was difficult to get is exactly what he did in the Premier League. Because obviously there are other good strikers in football, but the Premier League is a very specific habitat, a difficult habitat for strikers. Normally they need some time to adapt, and Lukaku plays in the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 seasons. So now he comes to a club with different responsibilities than Everton or West Bromwich Albion. And I think he comes in the right moment of his career because he's still a young player, but he has years of experience in the Premier League, also with the Belgium national team. Is now his first step into Champions League competition, which was also his main motivation. So the fact that we qualify for Champions League maybe played also an important role.
Okay, can the photographers now leave, please? Thank you.
Jose, do you think you had a lot of draws last season, particularly in the league, although you had a great unbeaten run? Is he the sort of player who can turn those draws into the wins?
Let's try. He's not a player that participates a lot in the building up. He's a player that normally plays in the last third, and we had so many opponents, especially at Old Trafford, that they decide clearly to defend in their low block, in their defensive third, closing spaces, playing with lots of defenders and defense midfield players, and we had just on Zlatan that target man, but by his qualities he was dropping back, he was coming in between the lines, he was participating in that building up. But really, I think especially for the characteristics of the Premier League, we need a target man, which is not Martial, which is not Rashford. We have options, good players, but target man, the clear 9, the one that is comfortable to play in the box, comfortable to play with the back to the defensive line, we thought that Romelu would be a very good option for us.
Jose, hi, nice to see you. You mentioned there that Romelu was hard to get. What role did you personally play in persuading him that he should come to United?
I did nothing. I didn't negotiate. It was Mr. Woodward that negotiated with Romelu, with his agent, and with the Everton board. Everything was done by Mr. Woodward. The only thing I did was to call him when the situation was almost there, just to guarantee him that he will be an important player in my team. And it's quite a great experience, the fact that we played together, we worked together already for a few months, and during the time where I was at Chelsea and at Man United and he was at Everton, our relationship was always very close, in spite of didn't work very well for us together. The relation was good. He's intelligent, he's polite. We kept always the contact, we kept always the good feeling, and now we are back. We are back together in different moments of his career and in my career, in different circumstances. And I have no doubt that it is going to work, because as I told him, and to Lindelof, I told them both in the day we started, that they were very lucky, very, very lucky to belong to such a group. And I'm not saying they are lucky because of their that they don't deserve it by the professional point of view, because they did very well at Everton and Benfica to deserve to come to a giant like Manchester United. I told them they were lucky because the group is really special group, and is amazing for a player to change club and to feel that the group is really fantastic. And that's what they are feeling after 3 or 4 days, and it looks like they are here for a long time.
Tuesday, Zlatan Ibrahimovic's recovery seems to be going very well. Is there a possibility he could stay at the club?
Possible. He's open. He's open. Of course, we wanted to be honest and open and let everything for him to make a decision in case of his desire was to leave. So there was not new contract, was a space of time for everybody to think, to feel, to decide. And from his point of view, he made the decision of want to play still football at the highest level. Didn't want to hide behind such an amazing injury. Would be easy for him to hide behind it and to say it's time to stop, it's time to go to a different level of football. He didn't want that. He was not happy with the way he finished the season, of course with his first European trophy, but not playing. And he made the challenge for himself of wants to keep playing at the highest level. Obviously, we open our door for him to recover with us. Obviously, Old Trafford, Carrington is open for him to recover with our people and to be one of us. And at the same time, let's make a decision that make us all happy. And if that decision is for him to stay and for us to wait, let's say, until December, maybe, because I don't think before December he can be back to competitive football. But why not for us to wait for such a good player that gave us so much? So we are speaking, we are changing ideas, and again is in the hands of Mr. Woodward and Zlatan agent. But the important thing is that the final decision is the best for the player.
Jose, all of the clubs are strengthening again this summer. One of the best rivalries in the history of the Premier League is undeniably Manchester United and Arsenal. Both had very poor seasons in the Premier League last year, but won domestic trophies. You also won Europa League. I think fans would love to see that rivalry reignited, Arsenal strengthening, you strengthening too, both teams looking to do much better in the league this year. Who do you see as your biggest rival going into this new season, and what kind of opinion do you have with regards to how Wenger was treated last season by Arsenal fans and also the media?
That's a lot of questions.
We women like to talk a lot, huh?
You know, first of all, I think that after the champion, Chelsea was the champion. I think Man United is the second club that we can say most successful last season, and Arsenal the third. For me, that's absolutely clear. To finish second or third or fourth is like being the first, the second, and the third of the last, because there is only one winner. And a part of Chelsea, Arsenal won a competition. We won 2.5 competitions, like I like to say. So I think the other clubs, if somebody has to prove this season, is the ones that they won nothing. So they have to improve to win something. Rivals, I think everybody is, not just them. Not just them. Every club in the Premier League is powerful. Every club has money to buy. Every club has money to refuse to sell. And sometimes people focus on what you buy and what you sell, and people doesn't focus have the power to keep it, to keep the players and to refuse to sell. And I think the market is so strange. Very good players to buy, not many. The prices are absolutely out of context. So the clubs with the power of not to sell, refuse to sell, I think they are one step ahead. And there are many clubs in the Premier League in these circumstances. They simply refuse to sell their best players, and that is fantastic and makes the competition so hard. So I think everyone is an opponent. I think every match is a difficult match. In every match you have the risk of lose, and that's why the Premier League is the Premier League. So very enjoyable. The way Wenger was treated, I think 2 more years of contract, fantastic treatment. And that's what every manager wants. Every manager wants the club to be strong, the club to be strong enough to make their own decisions and to forget the media opinion, to forget the pundits' opinion, to forget the supporters' strength. And I think Mr. Wenger got it exactly what every manager would like to do it. Strong club, you are going to stay 2 more years of contract and conditions to work and to try to win titles again. So I think fantastic treatment by Arsenal board, and that is what is deserved, and that is what every manager wants.
Aquí, José. Buenas tardes. Melchor Ruiz, de la cadena COPE de Madrid, España. Quería preguntarte, se ha hablado durante un mes prácticamente del interés del United por Morata. Finalmente se dice que no se ha llegado por un acuerdo económico. Álvaro está muy triste y quería saber si tú lamentas también esa opción, si ha sido así realmente el tema económico. Y me ha parecido entenderte que todavía el mercado estaba abierto. Con la llegada de Lukaku, imagino que lo de Morata ya está cerrado definitivamente, ¿no?
Do I answer in Spanish or in English?
Spanish.
Si puedes español, te lo agradecería.
No, yo me cuesta hablar de un jugador que no es nuestro. Me cuesta. Porque Morata no es nuestro jugador. No soy nadie para hablar de un jugador que es del Real Madrid. Si hemos tenido interés, es obvio, es público. Y que no hemos llegado a un acuerdo económico es lógico y obvio también, pero es un derecho del Real Madrid de pedir por sus jugadores la cantidad que quiere. No somos nosotros que ponemos precio a un jugador del Real Madrid, es el Real Madrid que lo hace. Y no se ha llegado a un acuerdo y punto. Y no tengo ni críticas a hacer al Madrid, ni críticas a hacer a mi board, because mi board ha hecho la oferta o las ofertas que pensaba que eran las ofertas justas, han intentado llegar a un acuerdo durante algún tiempo, no han llegado, es simple.
Jose, welcome back to UCLA.
Thank you.
You've been here a lot. What keeps bringing you back to UCLA? And second part is, from a purely training standpoint, couldn't you get more accomplished by staying at your center in Manchester as opposed to traveling around the world like you do every summer?
You know, a preseason is a mixture of factors, of ingredients. If you stay in Manchester, the facilities obviously are good. We are at home. But at the same time, commercially, is not good. And there is another factor that is really important for us, which is for the players to be together 24 hours per day during 2.5 weeks. We focus just on work and rest and make the group and know each other and welcome the new people, try to make them adapt as soon as possible. And in here we have everything. The facilities are very good. The organization is very good, because sometimes facilities are good, but the organization is chaotic. Real event, since 2004, I'm still searching for the first mistake. The first mistake never arrives, is amazing. The players, they like to come here. By the social point of view, is also good, because as you know, this country gives us soccer people a little bit of freedom that we don't have in other places. The players, they can walk outside, they can sit in some place and having a drink together. They can go out and shopping. They can have a little bit of a social life. Opponents are good, because the two American teams, they are in the middle of their competition, so it's good for us to play tired people against fresh people. It's very good for us, because they are going to play at a higher speed, at a high intensity, and will be difficult for us to cope with that. Plus, altitude in Salt Lake is also one more difficult factor for us. And then we play, or we train, because I prefer in this moment the word we train, against some of the best clubs in the world, against some of the best players in the world. And that is good for us, because we are going to be back to Champions League. And in Champions League we are going to a different reality than in the Europa League. Europa League, very difficult to win, but for other reasons. In Champions League is where you are going to find the 4 or 5 best teams in the world. And in Man City, Real Madrid and Barcelona, we are going to get that.
Okay, guys, that's all we've got time for. Sorry, I'm just conscious Jessie's got to get on the bus, and Jessie's coming back on next.
Two last questions, okay?
Is it okay for Jessie then?
Yeah.
One player you've been in with is a possible reunion with Nemanja Matic. He's been left out of the Chelsea pre-season tour. Is there any possibility of that going to happen, or can you kill that now?
I can't say any word about a player that is a Chelsea player. I can't. It's difficult. It was a little bit the same with Morata. Matic is Chelsea player, and we have to respect the player, the club, the club owner, the club manager, I don't want to be disrespectful and be speaking about the player. We don't have our door closed. We are not happy with just Lukaku and Lindelof. We need more. We wanted 4, so I would say 50% of the job done. But I don't want to say that because it's so difficult. Everything is so difficult that I wouldn't like to be in Ed Woodward position negotiating because everything is really difficult. So maybe we don't get 2, maybe we get 1, but at least we need 1 player to give us a bit more options. The squad needs that balance. We have players that they belong to the squad, but they cannot play football for the next 3-4 months. Marcos Rojo, Ashley Young, Luke Shaw. If Zlatan stays, we have 3 or 4 players that only by the end of the year they can be back to football. So we need 2 more players, I would say, at least 1. But I don't want to say Matic. I don't want to say any other name because I don't think is correct to do it.
Okay, last question.
Hola, José, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes, Antón.
Buenas tardes.
Ha dicho Marcelo hace un rato que para él no supone ningún morbo especial jugar contra usted, que tiene cariño, que le ayudó mucho y que el morbo es una cosa más de la prensa. Para Mourinho, tiempo después, ¿qué significa entrenar cerca del Madrid, jugar contra ellos la semana que viene, jugar un torneo oficial dentro de un mes?
Entrenar cerca, ya lo sabíamos hace 3 o 4 meses, nosotros y el Madrid lo sabíamos, y si estamos aquí es porque no es ni problema para nosotros ni problema para ellos. Algunos de ellos nos vienen a visitar aquí, ya he pedido también permisión para poder ir ahí y me han dicho que cuando quiera. Por eso, si estamos aquí, no existe ningún tipo de problema. El partido amistoso es, como yo decía antes, para mí es un entrenamiento. Jugar contra los mejores o entrenar contra los mejores es muy bueno, pero no voy para ganar, voy para entrenar, voy para jugar 45 minutos con 11 y al descanso cambio y otros 45 minutos para otros 11. Y pienso que también bueno para Real Madrid entrenar contra nosotros. El partido de Supercopa es una historia un poquito diferente, es una competición, ellos quieren ganar, nosotros queremos ganar, y para mí no tiene morbo, para mí tiene la dificultad de jugar contra un equipo que es el campeón de Europa, y ser campeón de Europa porque tiene mucha calidad individual, tiene mucha calidad colectiva, y como yo decía antes también, ganar la Europa League es muy difícil, pero por diferentes razones. La calidad superior está en la Champions League y nosotros jugamos Champions League. En septiembre tenemos ya un partido de fase de grupos para jugar y nada mejor para nosotros que jugar esa Supercopa contra el Real Madrid. Jugar contra el campeón europeo es la mejor cosa. Y a nivel de club, olvidando también el lado más futbolístico y centrando más a nivel club, nosotros somos gigantes como el Real Madrid, pero hemos estado jugando en Europa League y nada mejor para nosotros que volver a este nivel, jugar una Supercopa contra el campeón de Europa. Y como decía yo, pienso que el Real Madrid también prefiere jugar contra nosotros porque es una Supercopa con 2 nombres gigantes en el mundo del fútbol.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Can I just remind everyone that it is embargoed for 30 minutes? So 30 minutes from now, and then these quotes can go out. I know that some have been broken in the managers, so can we just all make sure we adhere to the embargo, please? So, if you would like to put your hand up for questions, and then Jesse will come to you, and then we'll get that done. Okay, who would like to start the first question? Anybody? Okay, Rob.
There's obviously
two new players to join the squad for the trip. How have they integrated? And obviously Paul seems to have had a little bit of a role in bringing Romelu there.
Yeah, they've settled very well. I think the squad that we've got at the moment, it's an easy squad to integrate very quick in, and obviously Paul and Romelu are very close. You can see that off the pitch, and hopefully they do well on the pitch together as well.
Jesse, it's a really important season, obviously, with the World Cup next year. Have you set yourself any personal goals in terms of how you want to improve from last year, maybe scoring more goals? What would you say are your personal goals heading into the World Cup here? Obviously, you're going to want to be on the plane to Russia.
Yeah, of course. I think every season you're looking to improve. More goals, more assists. And especially we'll be saying the World Cup. It's a very important season, but at the moment we've got to focus on the club. Perspective first. Help the team with as many trophies as possible, and then focus on whatever happens after that.
Okay, Gary.
One of those two in one really, but both about players who played in front of you. Your thoughts on Lukaku from what you've seen so far? How exciting it will be to play with him? Jose has just said that it's highly possible that Zlatan could stay as well. Would that be good news?
Yeah, first question, obviously, I think Romelu settled in very well. You see what he did last season for Everton. The amount of goals he scored, and the amount of goals he scored in big games. So if you can bring that to the table with Man United, it'll be a massive help. And the second question, I've not really read too much into that, so I can't really comment on that question.
Okay, Jamie.
Jesse, Jose, on a few occasions last season, complained about the lack of goals from sub forwards, and I think you're one of those forwards. Is that fair criticism? That you're one of the players and to agree that you can just contribute more? Because a lot of it was Zlatan was in last season. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I think everyone plays a part in the team, and especially for Man United, it's a massive club, and you've got to try and be involved in as many goals as possible. And obviously, it's a thing I'm working on at the moment, and a lot of us are in training as well. So if we can bring it out in the game and help the team, in which way we can, then it'll be a massive help for the club.
Okay, Pat.
Try to compete physically with Romelu already?
Yeah, he's a very strong lad, very physical presence, and I think he's going to cause defenders problems this season. We've seen it in training, we've already witnessed what he can do in training, and if you can bring that to the table in a match, it'll be very helpful for us. I'm not too sure. We've not really put that to the test yet.
Okay, Jim.
So many changes to the squad since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Is this now the most settled and the strongest United have been, do you think, since then? And is this going to be the best chance of winning the title since Ferguson retired?
I think, with Man United, like I said, it's a big club. You're going to get big players. We've got a squad that's very big, and as long as we pull together, we work together as a team and as a squad, staff included, I think, we'll go very, very far with this team.
Yeah, that's good.
I spoke to other players on other major big teams, and they said that the idea of leaving their city to train in the preseason, they just as soon stay home. They have good facilities to be around the family. Do you like getting away from Manchester and taking these tours, or would you just as soon stay home?
I think a different environment helps. Especially with the warm weather training that we're doing at the moment. It's been very tough, but it's going to put us in good physical condition for when we get back to Manchester. And of course, the facilities in Manchester are excellent for us, and it's good to venture out every now and then and see the fans all around the world.
Is there any further questions?
Hi, Jesse. I'm from Italian Football TV for a YouTube channel, actually, and I'm just wondering, I know you're big in social media. Do the players ever watch, the fans on YouTube who are, criticizing the players or even praising them for what they're doing on the pitch?
No, I don't think we read too much into that. After a game, we like to go home, relax, not read too much into it, and the next day is a new day, and we've got to concentrate on the next game.
Okay, last question for Simon.
Jesse, in terms of your position in the squad, are
you now almost becoming a senior player? It's like a couple of years that you've been a regular. Have you got to take on more responsibilities?
Yeah, you could say that. I'm 24 years old now. I've been around the club, a very long time. Been around the first team for a couple of years now, so you could say that. And there is a lot of responsibility. You're playing for the best club in the world, so you've got to, you've got to take the plaudits and you've got to take the criticism as well.
Okay, Paul, last one.
Jesse, you obviously know Marcus very well. But last season, he found it difficult, a bit harder than his first season. Did you see any kind of knock in his confidence, and what do you think he can still achieve at the club?
Oh, he can achieve a lot. He's still only 19 years old. Very humble, very down to earth. Human being, and you see the skills and the quality. He possesses on a football pitch, and he's, like I said, he's still very young. He's going to learn still, and I think the more games he gets, the more confidence he's going to take on into the next game.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, there we go. We've heard from Jose Mourinho, we've heard from Jesse Lingard and David May and Bojan Djuric alongside me to talk through what we heard about there. And let's start with Jose. One of the sort of headlines that I'm sure you'll read in the papers in the morning was about the fact that United wanted 4 players. 2 are in the door. It says 50% of the deals are done. He'd like 4. He might have to settle for 3. We'll see how things pan out. Interesting statement from the manager.
Interesting, yeah. But as you say, Stowley, it's a time of the season where you bring new players in. I think we will get 4. I don't think he'll settle with a 2. So it's important that we get maybe a couple in, as he said there. There's 4 of the lads who are long-term injuries. So ideally, if we can get another 2 in, that'd be fantastic. Who they are, I don't know. I'm sure the manager's got his eyes on maybe 2 or 3 players out there with potential coming to the club, so yeah.
Yeah, he called it a strange transfer market. We've seen some interesting deals so far, haven't we? Obviously, Romelu and Victor coming here. Kyle Walker confirmed as a Manchester City player a few hours ago. A lot of money being exchanged, but he's saying a lot of clubs aren't sort of digging their heels in, saying we don't want to sell certain players.
I think the only stress, if you can call it a stress, that even if the transfer market is open until the last of August, is that you want your players in as soon as possible to improve the squad and to be on this tour. For Victor Romelu, when they come back to Manchester, everything else would seem so easy. It's like the first day in school. You need a couple of weeks to settle in and get to know your new teammates, and then you can build a squad. 24 hours a day, Maisie knows, in the hotel, you meet people, you go for coffees, you meet up, you talk, you become better friends, and the unity, the strength in the squad just becomes greater. So I think 1 at least is going to come in, and of course Matic was mentioned during this interview. We're not going to speculate much into that, but it's that role in front of the back 4 we are talking about, and I think we're going to see a central midfielder coming in before the end of August, hopefully before, so he can actually settle in.
Yeah, and he talked about Morata and Matic purely because those names were thrown at him more than anything else, sort of saying that obviously, like every manager says really these days, I'm not going to talk about a player who isn't our player. He's a Real Madrid player, Morata, for example, and it's their right to keep him or sell him depending on what they want to do.
Of course, and these are clubs now that they don't need the money. Years ago, when you could say we'll throw 60, 70 million at players, the clubs need the money. There's so much money in the game now that they don't need to. It's a bottomless pit for some of these teams, and they don't need the money. So if they feel the need to keep hold of them and they want to keep them, then they will do. As I say, the money now doesn't come into it. It's just silly numbers that are being branded around. But I think Morata and those type of players now. I think we've got Lukaku. I don't think we'll go for another forward because we've got the main man there now. He's going to be scoring 25-30 goals for us next season.
But there could be another forward potentially coming in December or January, as the manager sort of hinted that maybe if Zlatan's recovery goes well and it's deemed to be the right move for Zlatan and indeed for the club at that point, then he might rejoin, because of course at the moment he's a free agent and therefore could rejoin United at some point.
Our manager was proven to me last year as well that he took care of Wayne Rooney. a club legend in that way. And Zlatan is a big personality, he's a big player. Just so he can use the facilities to come back means something, that the door is open. And Zlatan doesn't want to finish, for example, in China or MLS. He wants to give it a one last goal before he retires. And he's not one of them people, like the manager was saying, that's going to hide behind his injury. Said, listen, I had a great career, now I'm off somewhere else to earn money. He has plenty of that. He wants to come out from this injury as a winner and come back. And it's nice to hear the door is still open, because when it comes December, January, with the injuries, with suspension, you never know what's going to happen. You're going to need the match winners that will bring that Premier League trophy back to Old Trafford.
And we certainly know that he's one of those match winners, of course. On the striker front, it's nice to hear Jesse talking about his good mate Marcus Rashford there towards the end, saying, of course, and it's funny, we all know this, but it still shocks you sometimes to hear that he is only 19, but still very humble. That's the word Jesse used to describe him and the way he is on the training pitch.
He's a lovely lad, he is. We've had first hand for the last 5 or 6 days watching him train. He's a great lad, he's enjoying his training. Amazingly, he is 19. He's not even close to getting to his potential. I think he's filled out a lot this year. I think he's looking a bigger player, more powerful, and with that comes, I think more of a match winner now, because he's not going to get bullied off the ball and pushed off the ball. So hopefully, I'm sure he will. He'll score many goals for us.
Just a sense that the season is going to be good in some way as well. Hopefully we get a midfielder that comes into double figures in the Premier League, because as Maisie was saying, you have Lukaku 20 plus. You get one of them, Pogba, Mkhitaryan scoring the goals, and the things are looking bright. The future is bright.
Indeed, the future is bright, and the future for us, the short-term future, is of course Match Day Live tomorrow when we take on LA Galaxy, first game of the tour. These two guys will be with us. Hopefully you will as well. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, welcome to the show. Well, we've seen the manager put the team through its paces in the last few days live here on MUTV. Now it's time to hear from him for the very first time on Tour 2017, presented by Aon. Here he is, looking ahead to the first match of the tour against LA Galaxy.
Okay, the photographers can stay in for the first question, then we'll ask them to leave. The press conference is embargoed until half an hour, so nothing to go out live. Okay, if you'd like to put your hand up.
Okay, you recently got on Lukaku. First of all, what does he bring to the team going forward for this season? What do you expect from him? And second, in the past, he's been compared to another player that you had previously. What do you think about those comparisons, and do you think he's that type of player?
I don't compare. I don't compare at all. One had his history, and this one is still in the beginning of his history. What he brings was hopefully goals. He's the kind of player that everybody knows that he's a striker. So we are not speaking about a multifunctional player or a player that we can adapt or we can create doubts about positions on the pitch. He's a striker. So normally strikers, they score goals. And the reason why he is so important and he was difficult to get is exactly what he did in the Premier League. Because obviously there are other good strikers in football, but the Premier League is a very specific habitat a difficult habitat for strikers. Normally they need some time to adapt. And Lukaku plays in the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 seasons. So now he comes to a club with different responsibilities than Everton or West Bromwich Albion. And I think he comes in the right moment of his career because he's still a young player, but he has years of experience in the Premier League, also with the Belgium national team. Is now his first step into Champions League competition, which was also his main motivation. So the fact that we qualify for Champions League maybe played also an important role.
Okay, can the photographers now leave, please? Thank you.
Jose, do you think you had a lot of draws last season, particularly in the league, although you had a great unbeaten run? Is he the sort of player who can turn those draws into the wins?
Let's try. He's not a player that participates a lot in the building up. He's a player that normally plays in the last third, and we had so many opponents, especially at Old Trafford, that they decide clearly to defend in their low block, in their defensive third, closing spaces, playing with lots of defenders and defense midfield players. And we had just on Zlatan that target man, but by his qualities, he was dropping back, he was coming in between the lines, he was participating in that building up. But really, I think, especially for the characteristics of the Premier League, we need a target man, which is not Martial, which is not Rashford. We have options, good players, but target man, the clear 9, the one that is comfortable to play in the box, comfortable to play with the back to the defensive line. We thought that Romelu would be a very good option for us.
Jose, hi, nice to see you. You mentioned there that Romelu was hard to get. What role did you personally play in persuading him that he should come to United?
I did nothing. I didn't negotiate. It was Mr. Woodward that negotiated with Romelu, with his agent, and with the Everton board. Everything was done by Mr. Woodward. The only thing I did was to call him when the situation was almost there, just to guarantee him that he will be an important player in my team. And it's quite a great experience, the fact that we played together. We worked together already for a few months, and during the time where I was at Chelsea and at Man United and he was at Everton, our relationship was always very close, in spite of didn't work very well for us together. The relation was good. He's intelligent, he's polite. We kept always the contact, we kept always the good feeling, and now we are back. We are back together in different moments of his career and in my career, in different circumstances. And I have no doubt that it is going to work, because as I told him, and to Lindelof, I told them both in the day we started, that they were very lucky, very, very lucky to belong to such a group. And I'm not saying they are lucky because of their that they don't deserve it by the professional point of view, because they did very well at Everton.